Hi everyone, welcome back to the AIlanguage.com. In this video, we're diving into an exciting topic, building user interfaces with Flutter. Flutter makes UI development both powerful and flexible, and we'll explore the building blocks that make this possible. Let's look at a typical basic mobile home screen interface. What you see here on screen is a simple mobile page rendered on the AIlanguage.com. To do this, you can simply drag this icon for a new page onto the empty area in the center, which we call the canvas. This might look like a simple design, but it demonstrates everything we need to create a responsive, functional Flutter app and is super powerful in that sense. To understand the user interface better, hover over the sample text in our tool by taking your mouse pointer over the text. You'll see the widget tree highlighted, showing each widget from the root to the text element on the bottom right over here. At the very top is a widget representing the entire app. This acts as the entry point for everything inside the app. Over here, this is the default mobile page. Then we have the Scaffold widget, called the default scaffold over here. The Scaffold widget is one of Flutter's most versatile layout widgets. It provides a structure for all the typical elements you see in a mobile or web app, making it responsive and adaptable to different screen sizes. Now, let's break down the scaffold. The Scaffold widget includes the option to specify several child widgets. The first of these is the body. This is where you place the main content of the page. For example, right now we have a simple text widget here displaying a message. This is a sample text. As you add more content, this area can host more complex layouts and UI elements. Next, we have another important element called the app bar. It's this part on the top. The app bar can include a title, which is this text here, a drawer menu button, which is this button here, and action buttons like search or logout login, etc. This is a great way to add a title, navigation options with the drawer here, and action buttons here, and even branding like logos, colors, names to your app. This leads us to the drawer, which you've probably seen in several apps. A drawer is a sidebar that can slide onto the screen from the side. Let's see how that works here. Select the scaffold by clicking here and try to open the drawer. For now, we have placeholder text that says drawer here. You might have seen this used for navigation, user profile information, app version details, logout buttons, etc. You can add UI elements here to create such a layout as needed. The last element we'll cover today before we deploy this app is a floating action button. This is a small button that usually hovers over other content. Clicking on it allows quick access to a primary action, like add new item or share. That depends on the specific application. That's why it's called a floating action button. Now, there are other elements in a scaffold. We'll just mention these here. Bottom sheet, an area at the bottom of the screen often used for additional information or actions. Bottom navigation bar, a bar at the bottom of the screen for switching between different sections of the app. Persistent footer buttons, buttons that stay at the bottom, even when the main content scrolls. We'll dive into these elements later in the course. Now let's walk through an example of creating an app, deploying it live, and sharing it with other people. Let's try a simple example to make a basic app screen with a custom title and body content, like a portfolio page for yourself. Let's update the title first. Go ahead and drag a text widget from the left Insert Widget panel and keep dragging it until you're over the widget you want to replace, which is the title here. Then release your mouse button, and now you'll see a new widget with sample text. Select it, and let's rename this to title from here. This is just a name used for your convenience, so you know which widget you're working with. And this panel here is called the Properties panel, which shows all the different flags, options, values, child widgets, and other complex properties, if any. Now we want to change the displayed value from this sample text to title. To do that, click on the data property Update it to say My Portfolio and press Enter. And voila, you'll see that update right here. Now, let's update the body of the app. I'm going to make a small leap and add a new widget called a column. We'll cover this in detail later, but let me introduce it now. A column is a layout widget that aligns its children vertically in a column, hence the name. So drag this column onto the widget you want to replace, which is this sample text. With mouse, and you'll see an empty column added. Now, let's add two text widgets to this column. First, drag a new text widget from the Insert Widget panel and drop it onto the column. Just like we did for the title, click this text widget and change its name to Welcome Text. Update the data to Welcome to my portfolio page and unselect the widget by clicking it again. Next, let's add another text widget. Click and drag this text to the column, then select it. Let's name it Name Text and update the data to something like, Hi, I'm Rahul. Press Enter, and there you have it. Your text is set. Now that we have this, let's remove any additional elements we haven't set up yet. Select the scaffold, go to the Properties panel, and set everything to none except the body and the app bar. That's it. We now have a basic functional app screen. Let's preview it in our tool and see how it looks. Drag the Share and Publish widget onto any empty space on the canvas. Click the drop down and select the one you just added. Head over to the Properties panel and rename this to Portfolio Share. Now, let's set the viewing options so anyone logged in can see it. Once that's done, choose the widget you want people to see when they visit the link. I'll select my default scaffold for both the mobile and desktop widgets. Now let's open this link and check out our app. Copy and paste it into a new tab, wait for it to load and sign in. And there it is. We're signed in and it looks great. Press Command-Shift-C on a Mac or Control-Shift-C on Windows or Linux to resize and see how it looks on a mobile. Or just open it directly on a mobile device for a full preview. And that's it for this video. You can always export the code for this with a simple right click, but we'll dive into that later. In the next video, we'll add even more features to our app.